This is a paid program. JJ Publicidad, EMR, and its owners and associates take no responsibility for the opinions or statements made by the talk show host or their guest.
Good morning mga kababayan! This is Rhia Luz at Buhay-Buhay sa Amerika live here at Entre Mujeres Radio. Today is a very special day and also a very special month. Happy Filipino American History Month to all of you. I am so blessed to be surrounded by wonderful people, especially my co-host today. I'd like to introduce first my co-host, Ate Tess Bongon, the owner of Best Care Home of Moon Valley and our Buhay-Buhay sa Amerika chair. Ate Tess, good morning!
Good morning, Ria. Good morning, Dr. Reyes and,
Yes.
and my
morning,
co-host
Tess.
today.
And I have to
Ria.
introduce the next co-host, Ate Tess. Walang iba kundi ang maganda kong tukayo. Ang aking long-lost sister and twin. Tingnan mo naman kaganda. Si Dr. Ria Flores Tamayo, who is also our Buhay-Buhay sa Amerika committee and our wonderful MC. And today, it took two to have my co-host
True.
to introduce our great guest.
Thank you, Ria.
Greet your friends and kababayan, Ate Dr. Ria.
Thank you, Rhia Luz, and good morning, everybody. It's nice to be back here, and we're so excited. We have a wonderful, brilliant guest right now with us.
Yes, puro brilliant and beautiful ang ating mga kasama. So, Doc, ang ating guest ngayon, as I said, I have to ask Ate Tess and Dr. Ria to please introduce our guest today. Ate Tess, would you start?
Oh, sure. I'd be happy to introduce our guest. And the good thing about that is our guest is from Bicol region, and I am also from Bicol,
Oragon.
which we are known to be Oragon. So anyway, I would like to start. He is from Bulusan, Sorsogon, Philippines. He is a graduate of University of the Philippines College of Medicine. He is also director of traumatic brain injury, Alzheimer's disease, and cognitive disease at Phoenix VA Healthcare System, Director of Neuroscience Clinic and Research, Co-founder, Chief Medical Officer, Chairman of Scientific Advisory Board in Yuma Therapeutics. Wow, I'm having a short breath. Doc Reyes. So, Chief Medical Officer of NFL Players Association at Phoenix Group Holdings, former Assistant Professor and Acting Chief Neurology at University of Texas in SA and ODL Murphy Memorial VA Hospital.
I will help you, Tess.
Yes.
Okay, it's my turn. Comic and Neuropathology Fellow at the Miami Miller School of Medicine. He's also a former neurology resident at University of Kentucky Medical School, a former director at the Center for Dementia and Alzheimer's Disease at Health Partners, and a former cognitive disease at Barrow Neurological Institute. He's also the former professor of neurology and neuropathology of Jefferson Medical College, one of the very, very few neuropathologists here in the United States of America. We are so proud to present to you Dr. Patricio Reyes.
Good morning, Doc.
Good
Welcome
morning.
to Buhay-Buhay sa Amerika.
Good morning. Salamat po. Thank you very much for that effusive introduction. I feel humble.
Wow.
So I think I would like to thank the program and the founder and the sponsors of this program and the board of directors of this, headed by and chaired by my Kababayan,
Yeah.
Tess. And I'm proud to be here. And thank you for inviting me.
Thank you, Dr. Reyes. And you know, Dr. Ria and Ate Tess, as we were mentioning, we are celebrating the Filipino American History Month. And to think that the Filipinos started and came to America first as farm workers. And look how far we have come. We have amazing and accomplished professionals who are now in America and making a great difference in America today. So Dr. Reyes, everybody I'm sure is wanting to know how. We know that you're a doctor from the Philippines, but during your time, how did you come to America? How did you start?
You know, I never really wanted to leave the country because we were taught when we were growing up that the Philippines is your country. And my father and her family were very much involved in building the country. They were one of the first politicians in the country when the Philippines was a commonwealth. One of my late uncles helped write the Constitution, the original Constitution. And so my father was very successful in politics. He was the only one I knew of who was a bachelor as a congressman and governor of Sorsogon. So, and his brother was the executive secretary, President Usmeña.
Wow.
He wrote books that we use in class, the Philippine Civics. So he was a writer too, an author. Then, so we have an uncle who was the Secretary of Defense, and an aunt who was married to a justice.
Yeah.
So we were taught to love the country and help build the country, but unfortunately I was caught by the change in administration. And I wanted to be a physician scientist, which I could not be in the Philippines, so I decided to immigrate.
Wow. What a long line of great men and women in the
Thank
Philippines. And we're grateful that you are here in America, Doc, making even greater difference.
Thank you very
Yeah.
much.
And the good thing about that too is even if he's in America, he never forgets the Philippines. He still comes to the
Yes.
country, he helps, and just by the knowledge that he has, the sharing of it is a big thing.
Yeah.
It's very fortunate for us Filipinos to have somebody like him who's humble and would like to share his knowledge.
Yes.
Yeah.
And you know, Doc, it took us almost 5 months to even get Dr. Reyes. In fact, I met Dr. Reyes through Ate Tess Bailon's events. Kaya talagang these two was meant to be here in our show today. So Ate Tess, meron kang ibang tanong kay Doc?
What year did you arrive in the U.S.?
I came here actually through some difficult mechanisms because I was in UP and I was very idealistic, and I'm still idealistic, but I happened to be branded as an activist, so I could not leave actually the country for several months, but with the help of guy up there and some nice people in the Philippines, I was able to leave the country in 1973. And I continued my training from Philippine General Hospital, and here I am.
Wow.
I became a neurologist and neuropathologist.
So when you arrived here in the U.S., Doc Reyes, what challenges did you have? Since being new in the country, being young maybe, and
It was actually a major cultural shock. People that didn't greet each other. You know, I was used to greeting people every morning, but nobody returned the greetings. And after 3 weeks, I wanted to go back,
Oh.
but my wife persuaded me to stay, and I'm glad she
You
did,
stayed. Yeah.
Wow.
and was able to realize my dream.
Right, right. It seems
So,
like
Dr.
it seems like a lot of people I met, when they arrive in the U.S., few months later, they really want to go back.
Yes, it,
The life is very different in the
Yes.
Philippines. Here is very different, so you really have to do all the things that you're not used to of doing. So it's really a big change.
yes.
Yeah.
So, Dr. Ria, do you have any question to Dr. Reyes?
Oh yeah, a lot. But what made you choose neurology?
Well, actually, I wanted to be a heart surgeon,
Oh, wow.
okay.
but there was no training for cardiac surgery in the Philippines.
Yes.
And so I decided to sort of look at the lives of my former mentors in UP and PGH, and I was actually enticed by a former professor of mine to be the first Filipino resident of neurology at the Philippine General Hospital, with the hope that I would join him in practice after my training. And I agreed with that. I was honored to be his future partner because he was the leading neurologist in the country and one of the leading neurologists in Asia.
Wow.
But again, there was a major change in our administration, the Philippines national administration, and life was much more difficult and totally unexpected. The roles of the house, if you will, changed drastically, and I've lost some of my dear friends during that administration.
Oh, my goodness.
Wow. We have people watching us from YouTube and on Facebook. YouTube, Pest Blog says, "Good day to all watching from Dubai, UAE." Thank you so much for joining us. And so, by the way, I want to mention, we are live on YouTube and on Facebook, Buhay-Buhay sa Amerika, and Entre Mujeres Radio, through the support of our sponsor, which earlier Dr. Reyes even mentioned. He thanked the sponsor, and so we have to thank our sponsor. Today is brought by Jeffrey and Beth Rose, Ted Sakilayan, Ditdit, Hocson-Maynard, Dr. Conrado and Amy Ballecer, Nelson and Wilma Mayo, Gary and Nena Ingermanson, who also celebrated their 50th wedding anniversary, and Victory Home Care Agency and AmeriCare Hospice and Palliative Care by Tita Eva Tejada. And also, I want to make a huge shout out to Dr. Rhia and Kuya Nestor for their 25th wedding anniversary.
Thank you.
Thank you so
Beautiful.
much. Happy
Thank
25th
you.
wedding anniversary.
Congratulations.
So,
Thank you.
Thank you, Doc. We will be continuing our discussion. Do you have any more question, Ate Tess?
Well, I do. Yeah. Dr. Reyes, you wear so many hats. You with all your life here in the United States, you've done teaching, being a neurologist, neuropathologist, and many other things. Which one did you like, or you would continue of doing?
I
that
do
you enjoy?
both. As a matter of fact, and that's a very good question because
Yeah.
after my medical education, I spent 9 more years of training.
Wow.
So I started with internal medicine, became a neurologist, and I did general pathology and neuropathology.
wow.
So, and this is, I think, worth mentioning, particularly to our young kids, Filipino Americans in particular,
Yes.
because there's really nothing that's good, that's easy.
Yes.
And you know,
True.
when I'm a member of the medical fraternity in in UP College of Medicine, and we have a motto, and it is, "There's no glory without tears." So that's everybody who is initiated and who becomes a member of that fraternity has to remember that and has to pledge to that motto. And I think that's very true. For our kids, I think it's very important that money is not always the goal. You must have a dream. You must participate in your community. And in medicine in particular, I would like to see really many more academic Filipino Americans. It's not easy, it's very competitive, and there's a lot of politics in medical school and in the university. But, you know, all these things that you go through define you as a person, make you stronger, and actually make you a better person, because there are many barriers that you have to go through and overcome. But remember, every barrier that you overcome comes some fulfillment and satisfaction. And let me tell you, a saying that I remember when I was growing up: in every rainbow, there is rain before. Again, in every evil, even if you are looked down upon as Filipino Americans, there will be some people who may not accept us. How we look, our skin, how we speak. I had a terrible accent when I came in as an immigrant. But all that you have to do is be yourself and improve yourself and follow or look at both cultures, the American culture and the Filipino cultures. And you are blessed, and we are blessed, because we can get the good parts of both.
Yes.
That's right.
Dr.
That's right.
Reyes, I really like what you said. No glory without tears. And how you encourage our young people, especially I have a daughter who actually wants to study neurology. So, Hannah, and to all the young people out there, let's watch and follow Dr. Patricio Reyes. As he mentioned, no tears, no glory without tears, no pain, no gain. And I'm so glad, Dr. Reyes, that you are sharing with us this golden advice, and your words of wisdom are like falling from heaven to all of us.
Yeah, and I really like what you said about it's more of perseverance, like improve yourself.
Yes.
You have to challenge yourself to get to another step, and I really, really like that. I'm gonna,
Yes.
I'll always apply it.
And by the way, Dr. Rhia po is also a dentist.
Yes.
And now, actually, this is our time to shout out where we work. I never really promote where I work. We are actually very proud employees of the Phoenix BA Hospital here in Arizona. And Dr. Rhia is a new dentist in the Phoenix BA.
Yes.
And also Ate Marilyn Tabamo, who supposed to be joining us, but because of her previous commitment, she could not join. She is also the manager of our Phoenix BA here in the Valley. So I think as we are talking about Filipino American History Month, this is our, sabi nga ni Dr. Reyes, we should continue to elevate and improve ourselves. So Doc, meron na tayong mga improvement, no? From farm workers to now wonderful professionals.
Professionals.
And
right.
Ate Tess is also a nurse
Yes.
and an entrepreneur.
Yes, very successful.
Yes.
Well, thank you.
For over 25 years of being an assisted living facility home owner. Wonderful.
Thank you.
Yeah. So Doc,
So-
meron pa kayong, may tanong pa kayo
Very,
kay Doc?
very
Sure.
good
Oh.
advice from Dr.
Yes.
Reyes.
I think it's about Javier is telling us that we will be pausing for a commercial. So Send us your comments and your questions, and we'll be asking Dr. Reyes right after this. We'll be back.
At magbabalik po ang buhay-buhay sa Amerika. Huwag kayong aalis!
We're just gonna be relaxed and enjoy.
We thank the Lord for the blessings of the Bo family for this wonderful restaurant. They call it Lutong Bahay.
Hello, welcome. We are inviting you to come to Lutong Bahay. It's at 9250 North 43rd Avenue in Glendale, Arizona, 85302. Para sa masarap na pagkain Pilipino, snacks, groceries, you name it, lahat ng namimiss nyo dito sa Amerika, we're trying to have it. Okay.
Salamat.
Salamat.
At muli pong nagbabalik ang buhay-buhay sa Amerika ni Rhia Luz.
Hello, we're back on our second segment of this wonderful interaction with our very special guest, Dr. Patricio Reyes, the Chief of Neurology Department of the Phoenix VA, and together with my beautiful co-hosts, Dr. Ria Flores Tamayo and Ate Tess Bongon, who are joining us and helping me ask the question to our Dr. Reyes, as well as we invite you to send your comments and so we can ask him, because this is a man we should be listening to. Dr. Ria, meron kang prepared na question kanina?
Yeah, actually, it's not my question. It's a question from my sister from the Philippines.
Yes.
And,
Anong pangalan ni ate?
and it's from my sister. Her name is Maria Rita Flores Macabulos.
Hello, ate
Hi, the baby. And Kuya Edmir. Okay. Here's the question. Dr. Reyes, despite your aptitude and academic excellence, did you experience discrimination? If so, how were you able to overcome them?
Thank you, Doc.
I think you have to expect that, being an immigrant and with an accent in the beginning. I'm still trying to overcome them. There are individuals who cannot accept us because we were immigrants, and then we have probably for the color of our skin, for our ethnic background, and for our language accent, or some difficulty sometimes expressing ourselves. But that is their problem. Those are their problems, not ours. Our role is to treat everybody the way we want to be treated. And during my residency training, I had some major issues because I happened to be selected out of the 6 residents. We were in a class. Became the chief resident, and some of my fellow residents could not accept me as their chief. And I got into trouble for that because I became very sensitive. So for young kids, let us understand that those feelings and treatment that we receive are their problems, not ours. We're better than them because we're better people. And when you claim to be a person who is better than the person who's not treating you well, take the higher ground. Don't follow what they're doing and just move on. And show them that you're a better person. I have so many experiences in my life, particularly since there's nobody that I could talk to as I was pursuing my academic career. You have to be an assistant professor first, an associate professor, then full professor. and not many become full professor. Fortunately, I became a professor of 3 disciplines: neurology, pathology, and psychiatry.
Wow.
So even if you achieve those goals, there's still people who will try to pull you down and try to create anything that can pull you down. So you become a better person because you work very hard to make sure that they cannot throw a stone at you. You work hard. That's why even now at the VA, people now are telling me that I have a reserved parking in the physician area because I'm one of the 3 earliest people to park there, and I'm still one of the last to leave the parking space. So I think they know what we can do, what we're made of. And if you are a victim of discrimination, show them that you're better. Don't go down to their level. And make sure that you take the higher ground. And many times you succeed. I was working, let me tell you one thing that was very sad. I was a member of a very select committee for the National Institute on Aging. And I was the only non-Caucasian. And I happened to be the neurologist and neuropathologist for that committee with a budget of $500 million to distribute to different medical schools in the country. And so we all had to sign the checks. Every year we had to distribute that money. And one of the young committee members asked me, "Dr. Reyes, do you speak English?"
Oh my gosh.
Oh, wow.
I ignore that
Yeah.
because I know better. I speak better English than he did because he came from the South. And
Our grammar
when
is
he
grammar.
when he repeated that 2 more times, I told him, "Not the way you speak English." Never said a word.
It's true.
I was told once by a colleague who was also a professor that we were talking, and he said, I don't care about foreign medical graduates. And I told him the feeling is the same. So without yelling or screaming, he got the message. And he told me, "I was just teasing you." And I said, "I was too." So
Yes.
you just have to be calm and show them that you're ever since. And up to now, there are people, since I'm the leader of the neurology section, there are individuals and even patients who could not, who are not comfortable with me. And I'm not offended by that. I even offer some patients to see Caucasian doctors if I feel that they're uncomfortable with me. I'm the one that offer them, and I don't get offended.
Yeah.
What is best for them is my mission.
Intentions, yeah.
So I think because we have to overcome all kinds of barriers, we become a better person. Adversity defines our character
Yes.
and our strength.
That's
Thank
very
you,
true,
Yes.
Doc.
Thank you.
Well,
Very true.
very well said.
Yes.
And what made me so impressed with Dr. Reyes is not only his character, but also his demeanor and the
Yeah.
way he gives us information. In fact, last Wednesday, we have Dr. Reyes as our guest speaker at the Filipino American Chamber of Commerce of Arizona, and he spoke on the topic of the
Brain?
the COVID
COVID.
complications or a side effect
Yes.
to the human brain. And maybe this is a very important topic that Dr. Reyes, I think everyone in our community should hear from Dr. Reyes himself. So, Doctor, you have any upcoming events for that kind of topic? And also, if you can share a little bit,
Yes, about
of-
its effects
yeah,
to the brain. I think a
especially
lot of
at this
people-
time in pandemic.
Yes.
Yeah, if those who are interested, I have two forthcoming events. On October 22nd, I'm happen to be on the advisory board of a nonprofit organization, Brain Injury Alliance of Arizona. And so that's where I have become a good friend of the son of Senator Barry Goldwater, who was a former congressman too, junior Congressman Barry Goldwater Jr. So now we have become good friends because he's a member of that board as well. So we're going to, I have about 15 minutes to give a talk on COVID-19, what we have learned today. Earlier this year, late last year, I've given about seminars on this in the United States and in Asia, in Manila, and even in Europe. So the topic that I will discuss more in more detail is on November 3rd, which has been declared by Governor Ducey as Veterans Day. So I've been requested again to give a talk on lessons we have learned in the COVID-19 pandemic.
That's a good question, Doc. And also, can you share with us a little tidbit of what you will be sharing on that? Lessons we can learn.
Yeah.
Well, this is a very important topic because as a physician and scientist, we have learned a lot. Okay, what about the virus? Its mutation, its tendency to mutate, and we also have. I'm happen to be the chief medical officer of a biotech company, and we have invested quite a bit on developing antibodies to COVID-19, and I'm working on some actually biomarkers on aging and what predisposes us to diseases like Alzheimer's disease. So, and during that conference, I will discuss what happened in business, for instance, its effect on families, its effect on our economy. And what I have said is that we learn from the past, live with the present, and prepare best for the future.
Amen.
Yes.
Yes. And
I have a question.
Yes, Ate Tess.
Dr. Reyes, because I watched your speaking engagement a few days ago, and you mentioned about COVID. As a COVID patient myself, I getting all this treatment like remdesivir, plasma, and high doses of steroids. So I just want to know, because I have myself tested for antibody, and it's very high. And of course, how can you measure the effectivity of the higher antibody having a vaccine as opposed to having a vaccine? How much you can have protection with higher antibody and not to get the vaccine? Because as you know, we hear a lot of things about vaccine. If you get the vaccine, you won't get as sick as not getting it. But how about if you have a higher antibody?
Yeah, that's a very good question as well. What happens is that we don't know how high the antibody is and how long it will persist.
Correct.
So what happens is that the vaccine is to increase the level of antibodies. and hopefully will also increase the longevity of your antibodies. Because having an infection and having high antibody today doesn't mean that you will have antibody tomorrow or in 6 months. So that's why we are now starting to give booster doses to those who are more susceptible or vulnerable to the COVID infection. So I think it's good to have both. And I want to allay you of the fears that have been circulating. There's a lot of misinformation, all right? I have patients who told me that they have a chip in that injection.
Injections.
Yeah.
Yesterday, I saw a patient who told me it's a hoax. And I said, sir, if it is a hoax, do you think I will have somebody inject me those vaccines? And family members and friends, if it's a hoax, and I see people suffering and dying every day for the last several months. So it's not a hoax, sir. It's real. And this is not a political issue. This is a healthcare issue.
Yeah.
So follow the advice of those who trained and studied these problems for years, and not politicians.
Very well said, Dr. Reyes. Thank you so much.
Thank
It's nice
you, Dr.
to hear it
Reyes.
from somebody credible and really who can really defend the whatever is the issue. I just wanted to ask also, Dr. Reyes, about how is your brain affected by COVID?
That's actually, I'm actually being asked to write a book on that right now by a European company to look at. Of course, I will not cover everything, but I will concentrate on the neurological and psychiatric effects of chronic COVID infection, or the chronic neurologic and psychiatric complications of COVID. Because what happens is that many times we're very simplistic, that we have a viral infection of the brain, and that's what we treat, and that's what we are scared of. All right. However, many of the viruses do not leave our body; they stay dormant there. And when our immune system gets weaker, then it will recur. It can recur. And also, during the acute phase, and those of you who have been infected and have been hospitalized because of some serious symptoms, I can tell you, as a brain pathologist, I examine brains used to every day. And that the lack of oxygen, because the target structure of COVID is the lungs, that will not affect the brain, because the brain is very susceptible to lack of oxygen and blood. All right? And for days, these patients are suffering from lack of oxygen. And I can show you, and if I have an opportunity, I'll show you a lung that I have dissected in a patient who died of COVID. The lung is like a sponge. You can compress it like a sponge normally. But in COVID-19 patients, it's hard as a rock. So it can no longer expand. So even if you kill the virus, but the lungs are not able to expand, then, and even if you give them oxygen, it's not going to work. So, and now we're, because, and the other thing that's, I really want to emphasize the fact that we need to vaccinate as many people as we can. All right? This is not just a human right issue. We have to work for ourselves and the community that we belong to. And this is what we call herd immunity. Herd immunity is a phenomenon wherein, you know, by being vaccinated, about 80% of us, we protect those who are vulnerable. Okay? The herd immunity is derived from animal practice. If you look at sheep, for instance, and for our for Filipino American carabao, here the counterpart is bison. If you look at them, when they have small animals, young animals, they're actually behind them, and they're surrounded by the big animals, because they're protecting their
Young
vulnerable herd, and that's why we follow that in medicine. That is herd immunity, because those are vulnerable. We surround them, so that we protect them. And I have witnessed so much suffering already that I cannot imagine that you do not want to protect your loved ones by being unvaccinated.
Yeah, I must confess, in the beginning I wasn't into it, but my husband who works at the OR, I got scared because I don't want to be blamed if something happens to my children. And really, I'm now an advocate. Another question, Dr.
Me too,
Reyes.
Doc.
Yeah.
I myself was one of those who's scared to actually have the vaccine. In fact, I don't like the vaccine in the beginning, but because my whole family had the vaccine, and I'm the only one who hasn't had the vaccine, and I want to meet my mom, I actually gained the confidence to take the vaccine. In fact, sipon lang, I will go down. And so my friend says, if you are afraid of colds, then maybe you should really take a vaccine. So I took the vaccine. So maybe for those of you who are still afraid, I am still alive, and I'm one of those who are afraid to get it.
Another thing, call me dumb, but something about the chip thing, I really got a magnet and put it on my arm.
Doctor, you are terrible.
Well, it's good that you prove it's not true.
It is not, and I'm alive, and I'm doing well, and I'm getting the booster shot. And another question from my brother-in-law. He's also a physician in the Philippines. He wanted to ask about. He said, please comment on self-care.
That's
Yeah,
good.
that's very important. I think in terms of prevention, we have two types: the primary prevention, that's vaccine, and we have secondary prevention. Only we know that mask or wearing masks, social distancing, and frequent washing of your hands are very important strategies for prevention. Self-care is very important. That when we are outside in social gatherings, and particularly when when our friends or relatives are not vaccinated, we need to practice those self-care.
Protocol, yeah.
And let me just tell you also some of the developments now in COVID-19, and that is the kids are dying as well. And for some reason, they have this phenomenon where the heart gets inflamed and they die of heart failure. And we don't know why, in some cases, in kids in particular, the heart becomes susceptible. So we love our kids. We should vaccinate ourselves. And let me tell you, yesterday I was seeing a patient who had a major stroke, and he almost died. Now I was very glad, and he was very thankful. He's back to normal, he told me. And I told him, and he was an anti-vaccine, and I told him, sir, I gave you, when you were in intensive care, you were in coma, and I gave you a clot buster to dissolve the clot that caused your stroke. I could have killed you with that medicine, because 3 to 5 out of 100 can die from that medicine. But I gave it to you. I talked to you, to your wife and your family, and they agreed. This vaccine can have a side effect in 1 out of a million. So look at these statistics. 3 to 5 out of 100 can die. This one may have complications, 1 in a million. So there's no question that it can cause a side effect, as I said, 1 in a million. And I've seen a few of those. But the symptoms are much less. They don't kill people. All right, because what the vaccine does, even if there's a breakthrough infection, is the symptoms are milder, and they don't die. The patients usually don't die.
Very, very well said, Doc. Thank you so much for that very informative.
Yes.
I think because of that, many will be thinking of getting vaccinated. And
Including
Dr.
Tess.
Dr. Reyes is looking at me. Don't look at me like that.
So with this, we will be right back after these reminders.
At magbabalik po ang buhay-buhay sa Amerika. Huwag kayong aalis.
We're just gonna be relaxed and enjoy.
We thank the Lord for the blessings of the Bo family for this wonderful restaurant. They call it Lutong Bahay.
Hello, welcome. We are inviting you to come to Lutong Bahay. It's at 9250 North 43rd Avenue in Glendale, Arizona, 85302. Para sa masarap na pagkain Pilipino, snacks, groceries, you name it, lahat ng namimiss nyo dito sa Amerika, we're trying to have it. Okay.
Salamat.
Salamat.
Nagbabalik ang buhay-buhay sa Amerika ni Rhia Luz.
Hello everyone. We have very, very important discussion, and I think everyone should be sharing this message, especially not only the story of Dr. Patricio Reyes, but also we are gaining some important educational material from his his talk today. We left with Dr. Ria Flores Tamayo, who wanted us to ask the last question from our audience. Dr. Ria,
Okay.
please mention.
Thank you, Rhia Luz. These questions again from my brother-in-law. His name is Dr. Edmir Macabulos. His question is, Dr. Reyes, are there long-haul effects of COVID-19 on the brain?
I believe there are, and there will be. Many of my patients now complain of, quote, brain fog, unquote. And they claim that their memory may not be as good, their comprehension, and there are also some emotional issues such as irritability, anxiety, and because of their experience during the acute treatment, particularly those who are admitted in the hospital in intensive care, I mean, they suffer from depression, anxiety, and not knowing what will happen in the future. Now, if you look back in the history of pandemic, the one that we had was the Spanish flu in 1918. Let me tell you, we're blaming China for this. But did you know that the Spanish flu
Started
probably originated in Haskell County, Kansas, United States? And nobody talks about that, but history tells us that servicemen from Fort Funston in Kansas were the first mortalities of a Spanish flu. Why it became a Spanish flu, nobody can answer that. Nobody knows. But nobody blamed the United States. And that is the truth about the pandemic in 1918. And when our soldiers went to fight for the First World War in Europe, it also killed a lot of allies and Germans that we were fighting. So it became a pandemic.
Yes.
So regarding the question about the brain, that's why I actually I have agreed to write this book on the neurologic and psychiatric complications of COVID-19, because I think even if you look back at history, that the Spanish flu was associated with schizophrenia. And later on, about 10 years later. And also there is a type of Parkinsonism rather. It's called post-encephalitic Parkinsonism. That was thought to be due to Spanish flu as well. And they happened to occur about several months or years later. So I believe that there will be. That's why I have been advocating here, particularly at the VA, to look at these patients carefully for the next several years.
Thank you so much, Dr. Reyes. And I'm sure there's so much more Dr. Reyes could share with us, but unfortunately, our time is so short. We have many questions from the audience, which ang
very good
ating
questions.
Dr. Edmir Macabulos. Maraming salamat, Doc, for all the questions. I know he even asked some question of meron siyang tanong na Asian physicians, nasaan ba yan? What advice can you give Filipino medical graduates who would like to apply for training in America? But I think it would be a great topic in another show. We have to have Dr.
We can
Yes.
talk about that later.
Yes.
And,
You-
we can talk about that.
Yes.
We can talk about
And
how we age.
Yes.
We can age in a more healthy fashion. I
Yes.
think that's very important.
we
because
should have you back, Doc, because we only have 8 more minutes to go. And
All right.
so at this time, this is a wrap up already. How time flies. So we wanted to show our upcoming events because we have many events in the Valley today. Javier, would you be able to share with us these upcoming events that we will be mentioning? Especially Dr. Reyes have mentioned that he is a today is this is Filipino food booth, barbecue, veggie, pansit, and lumpia by PCFCA President Mac Macaraeg and Carolina Macaraeg to support the Filipino Club of Arizona, Phoenix Pilgrim Lions, support St. James Parish Catholic Church first annual Fall Fest car show at 19640 North 35th Avenue in Glendale, Arizona today at 10 to 3 p.m. So join and support this amazing event. The next event that we will be sharing is this Pentecostal Missionary Church of Christ Fort Watch Home Free 9 Global Online Crusade, which is this coming October 29, 30, 31, and it is by the Pentecostal Missionary Church of Christ in Mesa, In fact, their upcoming anniversary is next week, October 17. And a treasured presence celebrating the gifts of Filipino American Catholics by Father Ricky Manalo, CSP, as special guest presenter. It would be at the St. Paul's Catholic Church on Saturday, November 13, 2021 from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. So the next one is, since Dr. Reyes is a graduate of UP, calling all UP alumni for their 21st UPAA in America for their grand reunion and convention. It would be this coming October 22nd to October 24, 2021. So contact the UPAA alumni Grand Reunion, UPAA GRC 2021.bfairs.com. And also you can help this community outreach by donating, or if you want to fundraise or volunteer, you can help these upcoming teachers that are coming to America this October. They need this materials, mattresses, pots and pans, sheets, towels, beds, vacuum, and anything that you can help to support these Pinoy teachers that are coming to the Valley. And of course, Filipino American History Month is with this Lumpia with the Bejans is coming to Arizona. There is at Harkins Theater. It's contact Miss Charmel de la Cruz to buy the ticket. Can you share again the ticket, Javier, to get to this Lumpia with the Benjans on Friday, October 22, 2021 at 6 p.m. at Harkins Tempe Marketplace. It's an exclusive Arizona screening. So this is our way of promoting our Filipino cultures. And also, nakikita nyo this is our way of promoting Filipino culture and our products too. As I mentioned before, our Filipino bayong weavers, they need our support because Philippine products are now stuck in the Philippines. But if you can support those local weavers, they will provide jobs and funds to help take care of their family. And Dr. Reyes, meron po akong regalo para sa inyo. Gawa po ito ng aking kapatid na si Nestor Clemente. Ito po ay suman. Ito po ay sumang kasaba at suman na gawa sa rice. Kaya yan.
Salamat.
Thank you po, Dr. Reyes. Yun lang po ang aming maibibigay sa inyo for coming. Meron po ba kayong idadagdag? Nag-enjoy po ba kayo sa...
Yeah, this is very, very good, and I congratulate all the organizers and our leader here and your co-hosts.
Yes.
And
nagdamit kami para sa inyo, Doc. Napansin niyo ba?
I think there are many things that we can share with one another. Mm-hmm. And I'm very glad. And one thing that I want to say that I haven't seen, every summer when I was at the university, and even when I was at Barrow, I have students, elementary, high school, college, and those who want to medical students work with me summertime.
Yes.
Let us encourage our children to learn a little bit more what academic life is, what research is. Very, very challenging. The biggest, event in my life, aside from being born in the Philippines and is professionally, is when we developed the first medicine in the world approved by the FDA, US FDA, for Alzheimer's disease. That for many centuries nobody could develop medication for Alzheimer's disease.
Dr. Reyes, napakarami po nating itatapik pero ang atin pong producer ay nagbibigay na ng
Okay.
signal. Kaya maraming salamat,
Okay.
Dr. Reyes. I hope that we can have you back.
Yeah,
And
really
also
quick,
as
really quick.
yes, we just want to mention first Filipina who became the Air Force Colonel, Leah Botona Bowling, made history as the first female chaplain in High Air Guard. So from the Department of Defense. Dr. Ria, for parting words.
Yeah, thank you so much for those who watched, tsaka sa mga brothers-in-law ko also from Canada and Bong Garcia. Thank you for watching.
And Ate Tess.
Thank you so much, Dr. Reyes. It was a very good show. We learned a lot, and of course the audience as well. And I would like to thank you for supporting the Catanduanes Really
Yes.
program.
Thank
being
you so
there.
much.
Thank you so
All the
much.
time.
And
Thank
on
you.
behalf of everyone here from BUHAY-BUHAY SA AMERIKA and Entre Mujeres Radio, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Please do not forget to like, subscribe, and send your comments and share this program. Thank you so much to all our sponsors. God bless you.
Thank you.
Support Buhay-Buhay sa Amerika. Doctor, thank you.
This was Buhay-Buhay sa Amerika. Join us again next time at entremujeresradio.net. Hanggang sa muli, mabuhay!